We all know that folk music and dance makes us feel good and keeps us fit. And older people also know that that's true for them too, but at a slower pace. A quick search on the internet will pull up studies that link dance to improved health in older people. It's usually linked to ballet or Tai Chi, but I found one that mentions country dancing, so that's near enough for us. Older people love dancing. They've often done it all their lives, and there are many groups around for them to join: further education, U3A dance clubs. I would like firstly to share a few thoughts in general before we get into the dancing. Thankfully, there's at last a large cohort of really good, talented callers coming along. I'm very happy to be able to book them for the knees-up dances, for instance. However, in relation to dancing with the elderly, I can see some snags. Firstly, money. Further education paid roughly £35 an hour, and U3A often don't pay, but some do. Some dance clubs don't pay on principle, and you get comments like, "We can't afford EFDSS rates." EFDSS rates have actually gone up in recent years, I'm pleased to say, thank you very much, guys. But in general, that is a bit of a comment that you get. Modern callers, recent callers, often go out for double what's offered in the settings that we're thinking about, and the rates are unlikely to go up much given the current climate. It won't be seen as exciting either for those young callers. It's not zesty playful, it's quiet playful. So the other thing that I've come across is that some people make value judgments, which I don't agree with, about how worthy it is to be teaching people like older people or disabled people or whatever. I've been told, for instance, that I'm on the edges of the folk world because I do less festivals and dance series than I do local events and classes. And by the same person, I was told that I'm not a busy caller at all for the same reasons, despite working up to 6 times a week. This is event number 4 in 5 that I'm doing in 3 days. So I am quite busy. Do you know what I mean? It's people kind of look on things that aren't the big events, the big exciting events, as not really worthwhile. They won't do weddings. They're kind of like. Have you ever come across that kind of yes? There's a yes over there. I'm worried that these attitudes will put the younger callers off working with the elderly because they'll be influenced by people saying like derogatory things about things that aren't big events. So that is a bit of a worry I have. Other practical stuff. Groups can usually only afford to pay a tutor. We're very lucky here on Thursday night because we have Ian and Charlotte to play for the Thursday night classes. But in general, and you probably find that when you do U3A, there's no music, there's no money for a musician. A tutor therefore has to be in possession of a small PA and recorded music and use it confidently. Centres might provide this, but you might have to do it yourself. This kind of leads on to PRS, Performing Rights Society. Musicians need income, and the PRS people, try and organise money to go to musicians who've recorded things where their work is used in public places. Some centres will have a yearly payment set up for you, so you may be covered, and a license isn't needed at all in some situations. So it's best if you check with them to be sure of what you're doing in your situation. You'll also need public liability insurance and DBS checks. That's debarring and disclosure and barring service checks, just to make sure that you're kind of above board. The only thing is, of course, that those checks are only worth the paper they're written on the day that the paper is written on. Because you could go off and do something horrible to somebody the next day. But anyway, that's something that quite often you need to think about. And you also might possibly need to write a risk assessment for the venue. the activity and your group. I've also got a PTLLS award. It's a training that's called Preparing to Teach in Lifelong Learning sector. It's now called AET Level 3, which is Award in Education and Training. Local authorities quite often require that, and so if you're applying for a job, at the local council to do dancing, and they'll probably ask that. And I've written, I'm not trying to put people off, honest. It's like that there are lots of things you need to think about when you're working with a group, particularly a vulnerable group. So, onto the students that we have. Many are fit, some are forgetful, some get giddy spells. You get all sorts. It's great if you can get them to fill in a health check before you start working with them, and then you know what you're dealing with. Try to tailor dances to the group and give them things they can cope with, although they often like a challenge too. You might have disasters that you can't control, but do your best to mitigate against them. I have had people one time breaking an arm, one time breaking a hip. It really wasn't my instruction that wasn't, they did something. I specifically said to the lady who broke her hip, don't gallop, walk please. And she galloped, and she fell over. It was a carpeted floor, disaster. I always tell groups that country dancing is a dangerous activity, unless everybody knows what to do and when, because careless calling can lead to accidents. And I'm serious about that. If you think about the kind of things that people do in country dancing, they can trip each other up, they can bash each other in the face, they can do all sorts of things. So you just have to be aware that they need careful guidance, I think is the word. Be aware that you might have to need to run through every dance for every position. So if you're a caller that likes to get on with things, it might mean that you have to just slow yourself down and keep asking if they need another run through. So the session itself. Do make a plan, but expect it to change depending on who turns up. As you teach each dance, really concentrate on the dancers. Are they understanding? Are they managing what you're asking them to do? Do you need to simplify the dance, or choose a different one, or adapt the moves? Almost there. I've got a pocket full of adaptations I can draw on, and also a flexible approach to the dancers themselves. When teaching, I break the dance down into achievable chunks. So I also look at the dance and decide what's necessary. For instance, the progression in a dance might be necessary to do, else the dance doesn't work. But something like a swing is just an embellishment. It's just a fun thing to do to move the dance along. So you can adapt things like a swing, whereas you actually have to work the progression into it. I do aim to work to follow a dance as it's written, but simplify some parts for some individuals. So sometimes I'll be giving different adaptations to different people, in the same dance, if they need it. So let's start dancing. Stone Golden Country Dance is one that will show you lots of what I've just been rambling on about. So we need a partner each and 4 or 5 couple sets. So this is a dance where you don't have to have a precise number of people dancing. So you can have various sizes of sets. Stone Golden is in Warwickshire, I think. It's along a canal. So if you've ever been on the Ashby de la Zouch canal, then you'll have found Stone Golden. Are you a canal person as well?
Not specifically the canal, but Ashby de la Zouch I found today.
Oh, I see. Right, yeah. Or Zouch, I think it should be said, is it?
I always said it.
Okay, fine. Okay. Right, let's do that. I've been talking about geography. Right, so we'll just do the dance as it is, and then I'll show you some adaptations I would use with different people. So we start off with the first corners, so that's from this corner to that corner, that diagonal across the set. So first corners from that piano corner to the ladies' loo corner, that diagonal, that's the first corners. So first corners, you go into the middle, two-hand with the other person, and swing round for as long as you want to. And you go. Loads of enthusiasm. and then go back to your place. And then the second corner, so that's the other diagonal, in you go, swing round, and then go back to place. And then the top couple are going to strip the willow to the other end. So right elbow with each other, one right elbow, right.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Go round 1.5 times, and then give left elbow to someone on the other line, and then back to your partner, and then onto the same line again. You work your way all the way down the set. And then when you get to the other end, you go back onto your own side of the set. Make an arch between you, a one-handed arch. Facing this way. You're going to come up over the line on the window side, so over their heads, and then swing all the way around and over the other line. And then you start the dance again with the first corner swinging. So we'll have a bit of music, we'll have a bit of dancing, Stoke goes in country dance, and then we'll put some adaptations into it. So, introduction from Ian and Charlotte, and then first corner, swing. Second corner, swing. Okay, top couple, strip the willow. First corner, swing.
People are working
Yeah,
while
let's
the
go
dancing, it's horrible.
one set's doing a different thing. Don't worry about it. Strip the willow. That's it. Just do it at your own pace.
She said, yes, that's it. Well done, you.
Yeah, just keep going, just keep going. First corners. So all three sets are doing it at a different rate. Okay, so thinking about older people doing the same dance, there's lots of things to think about, and that's why I picked this one first. So the swing on the diagonal, that's the first thing to think about. Now, people sometimes swing in an enthusiastic way like we were just doing, but sometimes they can't quite manage that. So spinning around is something that older people find very difficult. They get giddy very easily, and sometimes if you make them spin too much, they have to sit down. So first corners, approach each other. In you go. What you could do is either just give 2 hands to each other, turn round once, slowly, and then go back to your place. So that's one adaptation. Another adaptation is if you go, same people go in, give 2 hands to each other, and literally swing your arms from side to side. I always say to my people that as long as you're moving, you're dancing. So, because a new lady joined our group, our Friday group recently, and she said, why do you do that instead of swinging? And I said, well, because, the people who are doing that are the people who get giddy. That doesn't mean that other people can't swing normally. I'm not saying that everybody has to do it like that. But if you know, you need to know your group really. It's also good if you can learn their names, because quite often, like there's one lady I've got in one group called Veronica, who's got very slim shoulders, and they like to wear a band in that group to denote, the male role. And she's forever having this thing slipping off her shoulders, and I'm just imagining it going down and getting around her ankles and tripping her up. So I'm forever, shouting, Veronica, band! So, it's just really, really useful to know people's names. So that's an adaptation. Oh, hello.
Do you want, people to talk to you or not?
Yes, absolutely.
I was not swinging, not because I have dizzy issues, but my back is too weak.
Yes.
So sometimes I'll do a 2-hand turn.
Yes.
So that's not an adaptation.
Yes, I meant to, thank you very much. I meant to say that. This is just the to and fro space. If you've got ideas, please say. It's not my ideas, may be valid, but they're not the only valid ideas. So, just do shout it out, because, we can all learn from each other. That's
A safety pin for the band.
Yeah, she just ties a knot in it and makes it smaller. So it's there's various things. Yeah, we don't use the bands. It's just that particular group like to use the bands. So it's just their choice. And on that note, a lot of people do non-gender calling. I generally do non-gender calling. People who are a lot older will be still thinking in their heads that it's the man on the left and the woman on the right. But that doesn't matter, because they can think that in their heads, and you can still do non-gender calling, and they'll be thinking, so you just allow them, and occasionally people say, which side do the women stand? And I'm not offending on any of the men here. My little joke is, the women are always right. Hello.
The style of swinging
Yes.
has to match the speed, because at that speed that we're doing, the 2-hand swinging would be unstable.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. You don't. We did the dance as we normally would do the dance. We're now talking about the dance as we would teach it to people who are not quite so fit. So we're just beginning to look at, so definitely it would be a slower swing. That's why I say it could be just one turn round, or just the hands. So is that what you meant?
No.
No. Oh, sorry. Say again then, sorry.
If there is no instruction about what type of swinging to do, people get in the middle and they have different ideas of how they...
Oh, sure enough, yes. So, but I'm quite prescriptive with the older people, so that I remind them. I remind them of the different choices. I always try and give people lots of choices. The other thing I say to people when they're dancing with each other is to chat to their partner, because how do they know that somebody else is a giddy person unless they've actually had a quick chat with them? So, in a group that you've known for a long time, you know who they are. But if you were meeting a new group for the first time, you might have to. So just encourage a lot of communication between the people. Yes, thank you for that. Sorry.
What's the dance that we're doing?
Stoke Golding Country Dance.
Stoke Golding.
Yeah.
And just when you say the non-gender calling, how do you do that then? How do you say men do this and ladies do that?
I don't.
You don't. You just say so. Some things. How do
Well,
you refer to the
like now, first corner swing,
Okay.
second corner swing, top couple, bottom couple,
Yeah.
left side, right side, near the window, away from the window. You know, there's lots of ways of describing the position, it's positional calling.
Okay.
You know, the where you are in the set without using gender terms. Hi.
Do we get a list or an overview from the dances we've done today, or do we just need to remember?
No, we can provide you with that. We can. I mean, I think you're going to do a little.
Yes, there will be handouts. I mean, I'm just going to say, can you repeat the questions back so they get them to the table?
Oh, I see. Right. Sorry, Kieran. Did you catch everything? Or you did?
Fine for now,
Did you
just
catch
carry on.
everything?
Yes, no,
Yeah.
it's fine. It just makes it easier for that to be understood later.
Okay, fine.
But yes, we will be sending round handouts and slides and information afterwards. Yes, so you don't have to make them.
Well, the dances I'm doing today are just a quick little selection. There are so many dances you can use. You know, it's non-ending. I mean, like it's non-ending. It seems of the number of dances that there are, but you can use loads and loads and loads of things with older people. So anyway, so we've done the swing, we've done the corner. Strip the willow is a difficult one, particularly with the turning, and also you don't want to stop everybody else in the set. Like, you don't want everybody just to literally shake hands with each other as they go down, which is one of the things. So what I'm going to do is can I use you two as guinea pigs? So you're not going to want to spin because you're a terribly giddy person, but you're going to love to spin because you really want to. So what's going to happen is that they start off only just giving right hands to each other and just crossing over the set. You're then going to go to the person on this side and just literally shake their left hand, whereas you're going to link arms and round you go. Back to your partner, little shake, again, let's all go round very slowly, and then on to the next one, so you're just going to shake hands. But Fiona, you can just shake hands and not go round, and then you just turn and go on to the next one. So that's just a way of doing a strip the willow, where they don't have to actually turn. And it does, I mean, it looks a bit kind of clunky when you first do it, but when people get used to doing it, it actually works quite well. So that's a way of getting around strip the willow. Then the arches over the heads. A lot of people, and somebody said it earlier on, you know, stiff shoulders, all that kind of stuff. People cut, sorry, no. So you don't want to, say to people, you have to hold hands, because people often can't. There's one lady I got in one group who literally had cancer in her shoulder, so she's actually missing a bit of her shoulder, so she can't, she couldn't to save her life put her arm up in the air. So what we do quite often, you stand as if you were going to go over the heads, is actually let go hands, and you can just put your hand up a little bit and sort of pretend you're making an arch. So that's what people often do. Now, in the dance we did just now, the one person did all the running around the outside, like they're doing that now. You can equal it out. So if you two do that again, so come up over this line, that's it, and then when you get to this end, turn round, and then either hold that's it, or you pretend, and then go over. So each person has had exactly the same, distance to walk, and then obviously the dance starts again. Now, timing. Someone was talking about timing just now. Stoke Golding is great because it's not pinned to 8 bars, but in actual fact, nothing's really pinned to 8 bars. So when I'm doing dancing with older people, you kind of aim to try and get them to do things in 8 steps or 16 steps or whatever. But if it slips, it doesn't matter. So you just, obviously lots of these places I'm doing it with recorded music. You just have to either get a CD that's got a really long tracks that you can just sort of fit anything into it, or you just have to keep starting it at the beginning again. Hello?
I suppose my question with that is, if you've got multiple sets, like we did here, then obviously not every set is in time, and if you have people who can't necessarily necessarily remember a whole dance, you know, the order that the steps go in, then how would you make sure that you're prompting them on what the next move is? Because, you know, you can't call it in the same way that you would with a phrase dance where everyone's doing everything at the same time.
I think sort of just bob about the place, and you get to know the people who are going to be, you know, like there's some people who are very forgetful, and yes, they won't remember the next move. There's one lady who's very much like that, and I sometimes literally shadow her down through a set. So yes, if you were having problems in all the sets, then that that's pretty, you know, it's a bit more difficult to just bob about. But I also kind of rely quite heavily on other people in the group that are quite, you know, together, and they're often very helpful, particularly if you get to know a group very well, you know. So I often say to a group, you know, if you're either a new person or someone who has a bit of a difficulty, can you pair up with somebody who, you know, is you know, so you get the, you know, a good one with a, you know, not quite so capable person. So and then they can actually look after that person, help them, and give them instructions as well. So I'm not, you know, yes, I mean there's some situations that are a bit more difficult, but generally I've found that the groups, the U3As and the local little groups are not very massive groups. Generally the rooms are quite small, and they're about maybe 20 people. So it's but obviously that's not universal. But yes, I mean you just have to kind of think on the hoof really, to sort of, you know, see what you can organise. Moving people around, sometimes you get a set that's full of people who know what they're doing, and another set that's full of people who aren't so capable. And you know, you can explain it very nicely to them that, oh, there's too many new people in that group, so can we just have that couple from that set move into that set and swap over? So you can kind of, you know, organise people so that you've got the best chance of it going right. Does that?
Yeah, thank you.
Is that kind of, yeah. So that's kind of that dance covered. So let's think of another dance. Let's do child growth, because that's another.
I was just going to say, the U3A group I call with, I share the calling with somebody else who's been doing it. So the U3A group I've been dancing, calling with, I share the calling with somebody else who's been doing it for much longer. And when she called slope folding, she didn't do the strip the willow at all. She did a weave, crisscrossing, which we now do the strip willow, but it was a useful alternative that, you know, doesn't stress anybody out.
What did the weave look like, if you don't mind?
The top couple crosses over, goes below the twos, crosses over, goes below the threes, crosses over, goes below the fours. So you're weaving across, you're just crisscrossing the board.
Like a shoelace.
We'll tell you what then. Let's just do this dance one more time, and we'll just do some of the adaptations we talked about. Just decide what you fancy doing. So and we'll So
you can't half do a strip willow and half do a weave.
No. You have to. You and your partner would have to decide whether to do the weave or whether to do the strip willow. So yeah, let's just go through it another couple of times and.
Yes, I mean, I got it. That's right, so right.
This is perfect. This is what I want. People to talk to each other with their partner and make it right for both of you. That's exactly what I want people, you know, when I teach in a group. I'm forever saying, talk to your partner.
So we check out.
Okay, so let's crack on then. Let's just do the dance a couple of times through, and then we'll move on to another dance. So music from Ian, and we start with the first corners, doing whatever you decide to do. So here we go. Here we go, first corners. carry on over there, guys. That's it.
Work harder. Right, tell you what, I'm
There's lots more things happening. This is good.
making stuff up. There you go. Yeah, what's he making?
There's loads more adaptations. Just put it up all over the place. This is great.
Come on.
It's interesting. It's the adaptation. I let you go on the other side.
So just out of interest, did you find that as enjoyable or less enjoyable than the normal thing?
I
Is
enjoyed
it
the need.
okay?
I enjoyed the need for extra communication.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's still dancing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly so.
I'd rather be doing that than nothing.
Yes, exactly so. So I mean, someone mentioned earlier that some people have found in some of the groups that people are critical of some people and told them they can't. Who was that said they can't dance? Was that?
It's too slow.
Oh, I said,
It's too slow. Yeah. So what was the situation? Was it live music or recorded music?
So it was recorded music, and the dance was very complicated, and the 90-year-old couldn't keep up. So every time it went wrong, and that was the word he used, he paused the music and said, "You're all too slow, you're too slow." So
I think you've got the wrong person there.
what you're saying, if the dance isn't right, wherever right is, that's okay as well.
I would say so, yeah. Because a lot of these dances are quite old, but someone made them up. And so I mean we make up dances all the time, don't we? Well, some of us do. And then you get loads of, like for instance, Sir Roger de Coverley. There are at least 6 versions of that dance. It's the same tune, same basic moves in most of it, but who's to say which one of those versions is the correct version and which one of those versions just got changed because somebody fancied it one day? It's not. I mean, this is a living, changing, growing tradition. It doesn't have to be, set absolutely in one. Sorry, you.
No, I was just going to say that I did discover through that it feels like it'd be good to almost, you need to practice the adaptation too.
Yeah.
Because you learn by watching the couple.
Sure. Yeah.
So if everybody's doing something different, then I think, I was already thinking it's good to communicate with a partner because it requires that. But it was a little bit confusing if you're at all learning it still. If it's really in your bones like it is for many of you. But it's good to maybe also to keep to the same adaptation for everyone. But I know in your situations it's wonderful that you can do the swing as well as the other.
Just to say that I generally, if I decide that somebody needs to do something slightly different to everybody else, I'll actually go to that person and go through it with them in cahoots with the rest of the group.
Yeah.
And so everybody knows that during that dance, that person's going to... Because, from one week to the next, and sometimes from the beginning of the session to the end of the session, you're having to reteach the same things. And I don't know whether the lady does the Hackney U3A, but I used to say to them, make a square set. And they all go,
What's that?
and, you know, every week, every time I went, make a square set. What's that? What's that? You know, so, you know, sometimes you just have to go with the flow and just, you know, make sure that everybody's just in the same, you know, because if it's a group that meet regularly, they have empathy with each other, they know each other. Sometimes they become lifelong friends through dancing. And so, you know, you don't want to worry too much because people kind of, they kind of, yeah, they just kind of help each other. You were going to say?
I think it kind of touches on what you were saying, but I think certainly for people with dementia as well, reassurance is a massive thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know, reassure them that it's fine that they've done it a different way. You know, it's not a problem. It's their way of doing it, and that's okay. So yeah, I think, yeah, sort of treating them as an individual rather than looking at them, you know, as a whole as well as important.
The other thing that maybe I haven't said is I'm really complimenting them and giving them lots of encouragement all the way through. You know, as they're dancing, oh, that's great, oh, well done you, you know, like, just kind of just keep on telling them how brilliant they're doing, and then they feel that they're doing a brilliant job. So it doesn't matter whether they weren't really doing a brilliant job, you tell them they're fine and they're doing a brilliant job. So yeah, so just keep the positivity, absolutely. So,
It's very difficult to have two streets where we're dancing. So some people come up to the class and keep up with the others. When you get to the end of the section, you change around. The whole thing breaks down. So it's best if in advance all of the people are briefed about the specific person that we need to go.
yes, yes.
And see where they can adapt the dancing in its entirety, not step by step. In other words, for instance, do it as a dance hall, fewer people, so that the 6 people will do 6 numbers, the others will do 8 numbers. 8 times. And when you are trying to do all that, the big group, it's not really possible. Maybe if we know that there are, quite a few people that need help, the musicians ought to be briefed as well and see whether they can slow down. Because most of the problems is probably just
Yeah, we put, as I said, some years ago now, before COVID times, we did a couple of Parkinson's dances here upstairs, so we, and I do this generally as well, I usually just get the whole group to do it at the slower pace. I don't usually say, you know, but I'm just saying, here we're just trying different things out. I'm not, you know, this is an odd situation, if you like. So I usually would try and direct the group to all be a bit slower, and they don't seem to mind that at all.
that really so.
Well, I was just going to say that what you don't want to do is single people out.
No.
Because that can be very difficult. If you can see someone's in difficulty, what I would tend to do is then cue the whole group to do something different, or suggest a different step, but not single a person out to say, well, you obviously can't do that step. So, you know, I think that's a difficult one.
Yeah. No, I absolutely take what you're saying, but I don't tend to approach it in that manner. You know, you're doing it wrong. You know, I'll say, would you like to, you know, I'll say to the person, would you like to do something different, you know, because of blah, 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 and they'll either say yes or no, I'll try and carry on. I mean, I don't kind of impose it on people. You know, it's always a dialogue.
But even when you're doing that, you're singling them out if you're talking to them especially sometimes. And that, I think it's
Yes.
a balance.
No, yes, I take what you're saying, absolutely, yes. But there's ways of approaching it.
Yes.
You know, so, yeah, okay. So, hello. So let's do another dance then, because we've only got just less than half an hour now before we have to go on to the next thing. So let's do Child Grove, because it's a nice dance. It's one that got such a great tune, and it's just one that we, there's a nice little progression in it that we can have a little think about. So a long line facing a long line, so we'll go up and down the room like this. So you're facing your partner. So from the clock end, hold hands in groups of 4. Now don't worry that you're left out, you'll be incorporated quite quickly. So the people who are nearer the clock in the 4 are the number 1 couples, and then the people facing the clock in the 4 are the number 2 couples, so you've got 1s and 2s. You start the dance though by facing your partner, everybody.
Can we just get everyone to move that way a little bit, so we've got a little bit more space?
So you're going to start off by doing something called siding. So you're going to just go up to your partner and just up to their right shoulder. So just walk forward and but as you're doing it, make sure you look at them. It's just nice to keep a bit of eye contact with the people you're dancing with. And then you do a back-to-back. Then you face your neighbour, which is the person in the ball, and you do siding to the left shoulder.
Is this familiar to you?
And then you do a back-to-back.
I guess through the left.
You then give 2 hands to the same person, an open hand hold, and you skip round 1.5 times to change places. Then you face your partner, give your partner 2 hands, open hand hold, and turn round once. So you're back in your line again. We've now had the number 1s move down 1 place, and the number 2s move up 1 place. The number 1s then do a whole figure of 8 up through their 2s. So a figure of 8 is, just imagine there's a number 8 written on the floor, and the loops of the 8 go around the outside of the two number 2 people. So there's a big loop. So what you do is you cross over. Same number 2s, yeah, same people, yeah. So the ones cross over between their number 2s.
So they're ones that come in this way. We've just moved
Those-
We've just swapped places.
Might be the 2. Yeah, the 2s are standing still. So cross over, go round 1 person, cross over through the centre again, cross over through the centre again, and go round the other person. Let's try that again, because not everybody was quite. So the 2s are standing still, the 1s are moving. Off you go. Through your 2s, cross over, round 1 person, cross over, round the other person. And then you're moving on to a new couple. So the people at the end want to join in now.
Nice, you guys.
So let's just walk through the dance again, because I know there's some people here who don't know the dance. So the people at the top, you were a 2, you've just moved up, and you're now having a rest. So the couple up here are now having a little rest. You'll be joining in again soon, but you've moved up to the 2. So you're having a little rest. So everybody, you can join in this bit, but you're not going to be doing the swinging around bit. So everybody, siding to the right shoulder with your partner. And then back again. And back to back. Then with your neighbour, siding to the other shoulder, and then a back to back. Then with that person, 2 hands, open hand hold, skip round, 1.5 times, change places. Then face your partner, open hand hold, round you go once. Once again, the 1s have moved down, the 2s have moved up, and you're going to do a figure of 8 through your number 2. Off you go. Cross over, between, round, and then between. You two are matching so beautifully. Look at that. Planned it in advance. Cecil. And then you now turn into a number one couple because you're on this side, so you'll be doing the number one thing. So let's just run through one more time for this couple to have a little go at being a number one couple. So side into your right shoulder with your partner, and then back, and then back to back.
We take a rest now.
Side into the neighbour, and then back to back. Same person, skip round 1.5 times to change places. And then with your partner, turn with your partner. And then the ones do a figure of 8 up through the 2. So cross over through the gap. That's it. Round one first and through the same gap. Okay, so let's everybody go back to where you were, so you know what to do. Can you remember where you were? So we'll do the dance through 3 or 4 times with no adaptations, and then we can maybe think about some other adaptations and share some ideas, because there's a lot of spinning in this dance, so there's things to think about. So here we go. Just listen to the music first so you can hear what it sounds like. This is the siding. So it's not too fast, back to back. Neighbour, siding. And back to back. This is the skipping to change places. Turn with your partner. Figure of 8. So that's the tune, that's how it fits all together. So it's a really, I love that tune, I think it's a good. So here we go, let's give it a little go. We'll do chant row a few times through and then we'll adapt it. Siding, right shoulder partner. Back to back. Neighbour. Hello. Don't forget to look at each other. Back to back. Skip round. With your partner, walk round. 1, figure of 8, up the 2s, through the 2s. Okay, side to partner, right shoulder. Back to back. Neighbour. Skip round. Okay, one more time.
Oh, I'm interested. We can do it.
Figure of 8. Lovely little dance, child row. Now the only bit in that dance that you have to do is the changing places of the person next to you. Because that moves the dance along, that changes your position. So that's the only thing you have to do. So instead of doing 1.5 times round, half times plenty, that's it, that fulfills that. The rest of it, you can adapt as much as you want to because it doesn't move the dance along. Like, it's not like a part of the dance that's totally crucial to the progression up and down. So if we start at the beginning, siding is generally fine for people, although some people find it quite difficult to walk backwards. So, yes, if you want to, that's exactly something you can do. You can just turn around and walk back the other way. Not spinning quite fast like that, but you know. Or maybe not even going as far as your partner, just a step forward and then a step back. So there's lots of different things you can do. So has anybody got any ideas of an adaptation for that, other than what I just said?
So the back-to-back could go and just be another side, or...
Well, it could, although you'd be doing, yes, you can do a side on the other side. Yes, yeah. So,
or just take twice as long over the siding.
Exactly, yes. You can change that in many ways. So you could, as the gentleman says, you can get rid of the back-to-back altogether and just do another siding with your partner. You know, you can... Yeah. So there's lots of different things you could do with that bit of the dance. So then, obviously, you're doing the same thing with the neighbour, so the same thing counts. You can either do two siding both sides, or you can, as the gentleman said, just sort of come up to each other and touch hands and then go backwards. You know, there's lots of... are there any... If you want to shout out an adaptation, that would be good. So, you know, so the gentleman just said, just go up to each other, touch hands and go back. That still means walking backwards, which might be difficult for some people, but you know, once again, you just could have just a step forward and a step back. People generally also, if there's a dance with setting in it, quite often, you know, they set forward and then set back. People hate setting backwards. Older people just really hate setting backwards. So you know, if you want them to set, you can get them to set forward and then walk back. Well, that's another thing I do quite often, which you're probably not going to do today. But if there's a swing in a dance, I generally break it down and then let them have a little set, which is generally quite easy for people, and then a slow swing afterwards, rather than a 16 big swing that, you know, makes people go round and round and round. So that's what we can do for the beginning of the dance. So then you've changed places, which is the important thing. As I say, you can do half a turn slowly. And I've seen people doing this dance, you know, young active people spinning 2.5, 3.5 times round. You know, you can you know, take it either way. So that you've moved on, and then obviously there's the figure of 8. So if you find that all the turning is too much, again, you could just do the swinging in the arms, or just hold each other's hands and, you know, up and down, or whatever you want to do. So you know, you can change things. Any other thoughts of anybody else that you can change this dance?
If the caller has not specified which shoulder you do everything with, then very quickly you have to communicate with your partner who's not never done it before, and that's not very difficult.
Did I not say which shoulder then? Oh, I did. Yeah, so I generally would say...
Followed by back to back. You understand that you have to do it with one shoulder.
Oh, I see, right, yeah. I think you're right. I think I said side to the right shoulder and then back to back, and I didn't say back to right. So yes, absolutely. Yeah, we can...
Maybe if you don't have enough time to walk all the way around to do the figure of 8, you could just walk up and then walk back down.
Yeah.
You could do half the way around. I think you could get away with doing half the figure 8 in the time as well. Well, is the wrong side, or is it just a change side? But also, I wonder if... But it wouldn't be helpful to have swapped in that situation, but you could always make the two-hand turn of your partner, you could make that a half.
No, but what I was going to say was, yes, you could do a half figure of 8, and then just walk across to change places. So if you didn't want to do the whole thing, you could... You see what I mean? Well, let's try some of those things out.
Sorry, suggestion down there.
Oh, sorry.
I just had a question about the amount of distractions when you're teaching it. If you were like, it's a fixed situation here, but if you were with a group of elderly people, how much do you do before you repeat it again, and do it before you repeat it again? Or do you teach the whole dance as one?
I go through everything so many times. So I kind of break the dance down into little bits. And I teach one little bit, and then we'll go on and we'll teach the next little bit. And then I'll quite often then go back to the beginning and put the two little bits together. I mean, I do that in Thursdays as well. And then, you know, do the third little bit and then put all the three little bits together. And I generally do lots and lots and lots of repeating before we even try to do it to the music. So that everybody, so in a 4-couple set, I probably go through the demonstration 4 times. You know, I don't skim, you know, so it's not like trying to cram as many dances as possible into, I mean, you know, we've been dancing for ages. This is only the second dance we've done. You don't have to cram it all in. And like in a Kaylee, like last night, we were, you know, Hell for Leather, we were doing dances every, you know, like on and on and on without any stopping. But, you know, different horses for courses, you know. So in a group where people have any difficulty, whether it's, you know, because of mobility or memory or anything, you just have to play to that audience, you know. So.
Would you not speak over the music as well?
Oh yes, all the time.
So you would be.
I never stop. No. I mean, Kerry knows I'm a little chatterbox. And I through the dance, I would keep calling all the time, interspersed with, "Oh, you're doing a brilliant job," or "Oh, that's great," "Oh, look at that, isn't that gorgeous?" And all that kind of. You just kind of like, you know, chuck really positive messages to people the whole time. And no, just call all the way through, absolutely.
Hello, I'm going to dive in there in response to what Anna said as well, because I think what I think of as the skill of being a good caller is reading a room and knowing how much of that instruction to give minute by minute and picking up on when a cue is needed for memory, for safety, for any reason that you might give that instruction going through the dance. And that's what I think the brilliance of Mary's experience will do without thinking about it, is dive in with those interim instructions over the music as and when they're needed, and being able to read that is absolutely the thing you learn after millions of years.
Was that okay for that?
Really badly. But I think, you see, that's what I'm saying. You look at your audience and you do what they need. A lot of callers, and this is going to sound as if I'm being a bit kind of like critical, maybe I am. Some callers just are there for themselves. Look at me, aren't I great? You know, they're just on the stage, really just sort of, you know, primping it and just, you know, like just. You're not there for them, whatever situation, whether it's a Kaylee, whether it's a big dance, whether it's a tiny group, you're not there for them. You're yourself, you're there for them. You're there for the people in the room. So you can't, you know, just. I mean, I heard of a caller once who said to an audience, "Well, if you don't get it right this time, I'm leaving." So, was that you? Did you do that? No, I know it's not you.
I wanted to add something about the how many times repetition. So all of this repertoire, I don't think you've explicitly said it yet, but it's vocabulary, tiny bits of vocabulary. So in an evening's calling or in a workshop setting, I would be going, okay, so here's my first dance, it's got 3 really easy bits of vocabulary in it. Okay, second time around, I can build something else in. Maybe, and I haven't actually talked to you about this, but I bet you've thought about it. So, and the difference between, so I'm so used to like, I'm used to up to 75, that's what my age range is. So I'm like, yeah, I'm like 7 to 75, that's what mine covers. And in that circumstance, they've done it once, they've done it the second time. It's massively different. But I'm guessing, for older adults, what you're saying is that they need to have done it 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and you're always watching. Yeah.
It's really useful just for people with dementia as well, repetition and something to go over it is so important. And the same with Parkinson's, is that reassurance as Paul was mentioning with people as well, teaching it in very small chunks and then building it up. It's mobile, with the other essential.
And within a group of people, I mean, I do U3A, which is anyone over 55, and we've certainly got people in their 80s, and I'm about halfway through. some people will be really on board, both physically and mentally. Some will be one or the other, and some will be neither. So you're working very, I mean, I'm sure all of you know that, you're working with very different levels of ability. And some people know what their capabilities are really well, and some people don't. So you're constantly, as you get to know a group, obviously you get to know what those individual quirks or whatever abilities are. You need to be tuning into that. And the other thing is, what a lot of my teachers have said, if it goes wrong, it's my fault, because I haven't taught it properly.
Yes,
Not your fault, because you didn't do it right.
One thing that's worth thinking about is learning styles. And although people may be physically or mentally less able perhaps than they were, their predominant learning style tends to be the same. So you have to think in terms of people who learn visually, people who learn auditorily, people who learn by body position, which is why demonstration, I think, is so important, because that links into quite a few different learning styles. So it's worth actually giving some thought to that in the group that you've got about what is their learning style. You know, if you're, say you're doing a salsa to the side, you know a lot of people are not going to get that hip movement. So you think, well, what's their style that they're going to be comfortable doing? So I think thinking about learning styles is quite important.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did think of something that just now something sparked a thought. I have been known, if it's a group with several, sets, and some sets are just being a bit slower, I have just had to say, just hold it, we just wait for them to finish. So you just have to do what you can in the situation, and just make sure that everybody's kind of on board. You don't want, I can remember I can remember some long time ago at one of the knees ups upstairs, one group was taking a little while to get something, young people, not talking about older people, and there was a slow hand clap started in the hall. And I just absolutely ripped into them from the stage and said, no, you don't do that. It's just, so you just have to, make sure that you're in control of what's going on. And if any kind of that was nasty, I felt, but any kind of nastiness that. But if you get to know your group well, you'll be able to read that. Yeah. So okay. So we've only got 5 minutes. So we've only done 2 dances. I'm sorry. I've had a great list. I thought we'd go through more than this. But so let's just do this dance and maybe do some of the adaptations we've all been suggesting just now. Anybody else want to say anything at the minute? So let's have a little dance then. So do you know where you are in your 4s? Who's a 1 and who's a 2? Do you want to hold hands in groups of 4 again to make sure you know who's a 1 and who's a 2?
Yes.
So remember we were suggesting that, we're deciding if you don't like walking backwards, you don't have to go all the way up to them. You could slide both sides instead of just one side. You could do the back to back or just walk forward and touch hands and go backwards again. Lots of different things. But the only thing that we have to do is change places with the neighbour, because that's going to move the progression on. So here we go. Is everybody ready? Here we go, sliding. Back to back or not. Neighbour, sliding. Back to back or not. 2 hands change places. Partner. Again, you don't have to go all the way around with your partner. Figure of 8.
Laziest to the
You people.
Are we going to rest?
Back to back. Neighbour. Sorry.
She's very quick. I'll figure, mate. I'll figure it.
Okay, one more time.
And then there's stuff inside. One, it's a two, it's a one.
Wait to finish.
She's taking her time. You can go on any moment.
So did you feel that was close enough to the actual dance we started with? Yeah, you just... I had another thought about what the lady said earlier on about singling people out. I think what I've done in the past is, like the lady with the operation on her shoulder, the cancer in her shoulder, before I would talk about that in the group, I went to her and said, do you want me to let people know? And she said, yes, I do, because it's really painful if people pull it. So, and in fact, sometimes she uses one of the bands round her wrist to remind people which arm it is. So, I don't think I've ever just gone up to somebody in the middle of something and said, oh, you know, I think I've more, noticed something about somebody while they were dancing, had a little word with them. Do they want me to share it? Yes or no? If it's no, then no. Then if it's yes, then... Because they often want that shared themselves because they want other people to help them. Like, if they get really giddy, they don't want somebody, if they're just a changing partner dance, they don't want somebody to actually start suddenly spinning them around to the point that they have to then sit out. Because it's, so... Yeah, so I think a discussion is a massive part of this. And just consideration of other people and their feelings and their abilities. So thank you all for joining in so brilliantly. Thank you.